When I say that I'm with Palestine, I mean a number of tangible things. Palestine changes everything. It always has. I don't know why we don't see it when we don't see it. I don't know how it was possible to walk around so comatose in the aftermath of the military defeat of the Nazis. It really, when you look now at Palestine, it looks like the Nazis were not defeated. That in choosing to, because historians tend to agree that they did in fact divert resources they would have needed if they wanted military victory, to instead expand what Hannah Arendt, secular, a German Jew, someone of Jewish ancestry, said, when attacked as a Jew, you fight back as a Jew. But a secular, not a practicing religious Jew, helped, however, those folks escape, helped Zionists escape, was looked down on by them, more or less, throughout her career, which became, in the aftermath of, when she finally got out, her career became trying to make sense of what, if anything, was left of what is charitably called Western civilization. And, that was her great work, was trying to acquaint the public, the people of these United States, because she did it here. She was an American public intellectual, which is something. That's like James Baldwin did that. There aren't too many people who did that. Hannah Arendt had the distinction, very fun for her. Everybody thought that she was on their team. The conservatives claimed her, which she thought was hilarious, since she couldn't even be in the room for a serious discussion of something called capitalism. She would have just burst out laughing, because there's no thought content. There's really nothing. There's nothing for any of us to sit around and talk about there. I think we all kind of know that we don't have the time, and fortunately, we don't need to waste it. It's all real obvious what we need to do. It really is too. I want to reassure you that one thing, that if we wanted, we could end this genocide now. We could get the resources that Palestine needs desperately to heal now. And we could make a new post-war order. Only this time it will be post-war on life, post-war on the global south, post-war on Africa, post-colonized atmosphere, post-climate famine zones. A lot of post, and that would include post-haste for ending this genocide now. Get the Israelis out, contain them, pull them all the way out. No more, not an inch of settler colonialism for you. No, that is not how we reward what you, of all people, find yourselves doing. Good God. One is, I am cognizant of the fact that this whole situation, sure, I guess it's an invitation to anti-Semitism in some theoretical future when anyone gives it, but it's not now. I mean, Jewish Voice for Peace. Look, there's a right-wing Orthodox Jews want nothing to do with you. You're just a pariah. Is fake. Get the hell out. Get the heck out. Whatever you want. But get out. Get out of there. Get out. Not another bullet better be fired by you. You know, some of us, every UN resolution that our government vetoes, just a little bit of us dies inside. Because at some point you have to be realistic. And the truth is, what's realistic is having sound first principles. We better have them. And if you've got them, it's time to tell us what they are. What are your first principles? What can we trust we will consistently get from you? What is it that you have to offer in the way of gifts? What is it that you have to offer in the way of liabilities? Are you worried? You can talk about any of that you want. Now, the thing is, though, this is not a therapy session at all. And we don't talk about feelings here except to create a safe space. But that's very little. It's not talking about feelings. It's allowing people to say whatever they want to say without interruption or without, it does require sort of having more of a poker face than I do. But that's why I get to be the moderator and, stare at the table while carefully listening for things that need moderating. Never happens hardly. All right. So I don't understand what's wrong with the men in the United States. If you want to end this and you're not sure how, then contact me. I'll tell you how. But it's not rocket science, is it? Is it? No. No, it is not. Come on. Just follow the example of the kids. Just do what the climate strikers do, but make it a general strike. Right? You have everything in the world to strike for. Strike for all of it at once. It's all the same issue. It's all about whether we do or do not value human and all life. I do. Do you? I think you do. I think nearly all of us do. I think that's enough. I don't think we need to become a more evolved species to stop this subhuman barbarism from continuing. All it does is curdle our resilience. That's all it does. The spectacle of this gratuitous violence, the bombing of people trying to get humanitarian relief, for God's sake. First principles. Well, here are mine. Here's a first principle for you. When they conflict, love of life always wins over fear of life. Guess when they conflict? 100% of the time. That's right. There's no reason ever to be afraid of life on Earth. It's utterly pointless. It's almost like having gas. This little bit of separation from yourself that you try to expel and you can't. And pretty soon, you don't know you anymore, and you don't hear anymore either. Like, members of my family often don't hear. Just not just one of them. Often don't hear. Being a small child, I was born very late in the game. My parents had already had 4 children. The oldest had left for college. They had no remote thought of having another one. So, the others were older, and I stayed well away. I was not drawn, especially, because they were very, very conflict prone. My parents weren't. My parents were just very expansive. They were both artists. They were both teachers. They had a wonderful way of sharing what was theirs and then creating a space for you to do the same. They had an open door, even though we were poor. We really were poor when I was little. Not, I think after 11, that's no longer true. Probably earlier, probably after 9. But I mean, poor is not what I would call us ever, ever. Just because, my parents were extraordinary and I never felt anything except privileged. Not quite the kind of privilege. There's privilege is etymologically, it's not separate from privation or deprivation. I will deprive you. I will deprive you. Also reminds us of the privy, right? Privilege, the privy, the outhouse of privilege. Not for me, thanks. It has a bad odor, it really does. Curdled mother's milk, or curdled mother love in men. Very, 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 very bad. Honestly, guys. Get a clue. Because we need you right now. And what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not here, are you? You're not here. You're not here saying, for whatever organization you belong to, here's what I demand. We have right away. Well, here's what I demand. We have right away. I am really well aware of what humanitarian relief can be and some, what it cannot be. I'm pretty versed on that from watching climate genocide unfold in front of everybody with zero effort to stop it. Boy, watch that a while, you get real clear on certain people's intentions. So I'll tell you, climate justice for Africa has now accelerated wildly its whole timetable. I mean, there were things I had carefully planned to do in a year or something. It's all over. We'll just do everything now because of Palestine. Because we have to. We just have to. It has to be the center of the world, Palestine, until we get you safe. I'm not ever taking my eyes off you. I am so sorry that I can't say something more like deliverance. I'm sorry about that. Sorrier than I can say. And I don't think that it's okay for me to apologize either. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I'm glad that I'm home with a fractured spine. That would be real painful anyway. Just ask anybody about, if you get a compression fracture in your L2, does that really hurt? Especially if you had a herniated disc in your L4. I know. My back is a mess, but it's made just infinitely more painful, and the pain is now untreatable because for no medical reason, in defiance of my doctor and my insurer, the head of my home nursing decided that she would just discharge me. No more IV antibiotics for you. And then defame me as, this terrorist, oh no, the nurses wouldn't be safe if they had to help him. Everybody that cares for me in our healthcare system knows I'm a sweetheart. I'm especially a sweetheart to our essential workers because I know. From a lifetime as a public advocate, I know really well how impossible the conditions they work under are. Both the ones in the fields and the ones in the hospital. Impossible, impossible, impossible. Why do we make life itself impossible? Why do we punish people for the labor that puts food on our tables? There's so many good things to think about, and I have to tell you, you've been told a lot of hooey about what it would take to stop climate genocide, to stop ecocide. It's not rocket science. We could do it tomorrow. We really could. We could do it tomorrow. And in 6 months, it would be obvious that we'd shifted momentum substantially. And in 6 years, tens of millions of people who would have been dead will be alive because we acted now. That's how it works. We're well into it. We've been having climate famine on the African continent since the 70s when you drove Pintos, not SUVs. You know, that SUV phase started when Lake Chad was already gone. What the heck were you thinking? What were you thinking? Really, what were you thinking? It's all over now. So who cares what you were thinking? All I care about is that you wake up your heart, wake up your mind, see clearly that there's only two alternatives. Either the petro-capital complex or the extractive capitalism complex, whatever you want to call it, it's just a bunch of, an inbred bunch of crooks. It's just a bunch of predators who, some of them really are. Like Charles Koch is just a Batman villain from heck. He is really, really just something. But no reason not to put him and all the affluent, whites-only leaders in a terrarium where they belong. They won't hurt anyone. It will be an environment. It will be full of green growing things. And we can watch them and, observe them and see if they ever learn how to coexist. Because the poor things really, couldn't do that. It'd be very risky. Where do they think they are? We don't know. I mean, I don't want to contemplate it myself. The people who are actually culpable for this is such a tiny number. And culpable means, right, that you could stop it tomorrow. Well, Biden could stop it tomorrow. He really could. Anyone in his Pentagon, senior enough, could stop it tomorrow, actually. I mean, what's he going to do? He's such a weak sister. I'm sorry, but and that's a terrible phrase, but it's a phrase from a long struggle for equality that isn't even entirely my struggle, but that I really, really participated in and took a lot of heat for. People always assumed I was gay. So I got beat up, whether I was or I wasn't. Didn't make any difference. Was never going to be the case for me that I would have a sexual identity. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I have no idea what that means. None. I don't want one, though. Don't need it. Doing just fine. Have a companion, a close companion. Never has been a physical thing. Just a companionship thing. Sometimes that's what you want. Or sometimes that's just what life gives you. We're happy to have the companionship, frankly. We've had companionship from each other for 34 years. You can't hide anything from someone after 34 years. They see it all. Speaking of that time period, I don't know if you use the threads at all, but I've been putting in the threads where this is going to go to. Everything's going in the threads now. That Instagram app, I guess. Anyhow, so the threads have me talking quite a bit about Palestine and everything else, and I'm just going to keep doing it. That's all I can do. I can't go anywhere. I can't even get in and out of a car in this condition. And today the pain has gotten worse every day for, how long has it been since they discharged me? A really long time. It's literally, it's illegal as hell. It's insane as hell. It's actionable, just up the yin yang. It's something you would never ever do. Interrupting, uh, interrupting this particular treatment for this particular patient, who is both old enough and under enough strain, with enough of a dysregulated autonomic nervous system. I could die about 6 ways to Sunday if I don't get those things back. I've already had an organ fail from this disease. It's just not a little yuppie flu thing at all. No siree. Mm-mm. So, at least I can tell myself tonight that I am actually physically unable to stand for any period of time. So I can't get to you. Can't be of any help. Can't get even into the streets. But I can talk and I can tell the truth. And we need to tell the goddamn truth.